Welcome to
The Broken Minds Podcast.
Today's episode is on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Born July 27th, 1991, Gypsy Rose Blanchard lived with her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, who had a serious mental illness called Munchausen by proxy, manipulating her daughter Gypsy to fake serious illnesses that she didn't have, like leukemia, muscle dystrophy, and many others. She confined Gypsy to a wheelchair and forced her to eat through a feeding tube when she was just 8 years old. Gypsy's father wasn't in the picture and unaware of the scam due to the alleged abuse towards Dee Dee, which turned out to be a lie she told Gypsy. From this medical scam, Gypsy and Dee Dee received many charitable donations such as trips to Disney, money, and even a whole house built with Gypsy's disabilities in mind. Before receiving this home, Dee Dee and Gypsy lived in Louisiana but were displaced due to Hurricane Katrina. They took shelter in Mercy Hospital, which was located in Missouri. At this hospital, Dee Dee's scam was able to fly under the radar by lying and saying all medical records for Gypsy were destroyed in the hurricane. Many doctors were fooled by the scam because Dee Dee would give medications to Gypsy that enhanced symptoms, such as putting Orajel on her gums to make her drool more, leading to a salivary gland removal. The family didn't start getting attention for young Gypsy until her doctors were given 3 documents, which all had different birth years on them. Child and Family Services were contacted and an investigation was launched, but sadly it ended up nowhere. When the doctors discovered the investigation went nowhere, they decided to personally ask Gypsy if anything was wrong. She told them no. Gypsy later reports in a documentary that she does not remember the doctors trying to help her, claiming they only did it to cover themselves. After this family service call, Dee Dee got paranoid, doing things like putting filters on the windows so no one could see in or out. Somewhere in this scam, Gypsy's father had called to wish her a happy 18th birthday, but Dee Dee refused to let him due to the fact she had told Gypsy she was 14. When Gypsy turned 15, Dee Dee had taken her to a sci-fi convention where she met a man named Dan, who was 36. Later, Gypsy had gone behind Dee Dee's back and made a Facebook account where she contacted and shared with Dan that she knew she could walk. Gypsy later found a Medicaid card that had her real age on it. She was 19. Because of this devastating discovery, she attempted to run away but was taken back and chained to a bed for a few weeks. A few years later, Gypsy would meet Nicholas Godejohn online and convince him to kill her mother while she hid in the bathroom high on painkillers. Nick, after being let in by Gypsy, stabbed Dee Dee 17 times in the back while she was asleep a month before Gypsy's 24th birthday. Upon being caught, Gypsy took a plea deal and got 10 years in jail for second-degree murder, while Nick got life. While in jail, Gypsy married Ryan Anderson, who had sent letters while she was locked up. The odd thing about Ryan is shocking similarities between him and Dee Dee's face. Gypsy got out 3 years early on parole. So my question to y'all is, do you think Gypsy feels guilty for the murder now?
No. Not at all.
Why?
Because she's got all this fame. She has everything she wants. She's getting charity from people. And she's living it up. She doesn't care. She's not regretful.
All this attention since she's been out, I don't think she really cares. Like, she doesn't care, in all honesty. Like, she gives no sympathy about it. She doesn't care that she did it. Like, because all the attention and stuff that she gained from it, I don't feel like she has any sympathy for the murder of her mom.
I feel like the attention she is getting definitely makes her feel like she's not guilty, and also maybe from like the past stuff because of like the way that Gypsy's mom had treated her in the past. Maybe she's just seeing it as like a revenge. So probably she doesn't feel guilty.
But we aren't here today to talk about what she's done in the past. We are here today to talk about what she's doing now and how it may end her up back in jail.
So I think her controversies of getting stuff from other people and the donations and just kind of like almost scamming people, that's going to make her go back to jail.
Yeah. Because isn't the whole baby registry thing, isn't that a scam? Like, isn't she saying, like, they aren't doing it or something like that? Just so that, and then they gave her, like, $500.
Yeah. I mean, I think stuff like that is a scam anyways, but people donate to other people all the time. But with her, she's claiming that people are saying they're buying it and then it never gets delivered to her. So it's getting bought off of her list. And it's like hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of items. And then she's saying that she never received them. And the company's, oh, here's $500. So sorry for the inconvenience. Stuff like that.
I don't know. I still find it. So they buy the things off her list, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
She gets them, or they send them to her. But supposedly she's saying,
she's not receiving them. Which, I mean, I don't know why people would buy baby items off of her list for themselves. Like, a $200 changing table, like, that nobody's going to spend that much on a changing table. So.
Okay, so that's weird. But yeah, that's most stuff going to end her back in there because you're scamming people and you're going to go to jail for scamming. So, I don't.
She got other people to pay for her nose and teeth job.
Oh, wow.
How does she get other people to pay for her teeth and nose?
Donate to her.
So they just donated her money?
So people donated her money so that she could get her teeth and her nose done?
The doctors themselves felt bad and were like, oh, we're going to help you get better, fix you.
So she basically made everyone feel bad and just give sympathy for her just to get all this free stuff.
So basically do what her mom did or act how her mom acts.
Right.
It's just like it's in a different way, but it is similar to the way her mom acts.
Literally the similar way. She literally made Gypsy have all these problems with her just so that she could get money and free stuff. And Gypsy's turning around and doing the same thing, except she's not harming anybody. She's just
But she could harm somebody.
She could.
What if she does it to her kid that she supposedly has?
Oh. Well,
that's a big what if question.
Yeah.
Do y'all think she's actually pregnant?
I think I seen her live. I don't know, but I hope she isn't, but I don't think she is.
See, I'm not really too sure on that because I remember seeing a video about how, like, when she was still, it was on her documentary on the show, there was a baby outfit in the closet. So I feel like if you're going to have a baby outfit, then you got to at least be, like, someone. And she knew, and that was when she was still with Ryan, which kind of also brings the controversy of whose baby is it, Ryan or Ken's?
Right. So with that, I heard that they were attempting to have a baby and trying to, and the baby outfit made her feel better about the situation, which is in itself really weird. But then the automatic switch partners and then the, I'm pregnant thing is a little weird to me.
The timing is off because if you tried so long with your last one and couldn't get anywhere, but then you pop up with this new one and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you're pregnant.
So she was trying really hard with Ryan and then left with him and then got with Ken and claimed that she was pregnant.
Right. But at the same time, people are saying that Ken is gay and he was on Hinge.
Huh.
And this woman went on TikTok saying that she saw him hooking up with other dudes just right before they started filming and being with other dudes.
So, yeah.
So he could be in it for the popularity and fame part of it. So.
But if she is pregnant, I definitely feel like it's not Ken's.
Right. I don't feel like it would be Ken's, and I feel horrible for that baby because she already has issues. And a lot of the baby is going to be just posted all over the internet at this point because that's what she wants. That's her new go-to because of all of her controversies, especially with Ryan.
Not to mention, a genetic issue runs in her family from her dad. All of her dad's kids have this facial, signal that they have, a chromosome problem.
Like
that could get passed down to her kid.
Well, that depends on her gene makeup. If she's dominant or recessive. Because if it's not dominant or recessive on whoever's the father,
Yeah.
then there's a 50-50 chance her kid won't get it.
What's your opinion on this whole divorce, marrying, all this like love drama that she's going through with Ken?
Who is she with right now?
Ken
Ken.
Urker.
Ken's the ex that, right? Ken's her ex.
Ryan is the ex. Well,
Well,
hold
no,
on.
Ken's
Hold
her
on.
ex to begin with, wasn't it?
okay, Ryan and Ken were both messaging, like sending letters to Gypsy in prison, and then she was with Ken, broke up with Ken while in prison, got with Ryan, got out of prison, married Ryan, and now is getting a divorce and going back to Ken, which is really weird.
Okay, and then isn't she like, oh, she gets with one, so like she gets with Ryan, misses Ken, breaks up with Ryan, gets with Ken, and
But is
misses
still messaging Ryan and calling Ryan during all of it. Yeah.
I find that really weird.
And like the fact that Ken was ever brought up because her mom was the one that wanted her. Well, her stepmom was the one that wanted her to get back with Ken. So she was the one that started I think you should get back with Ken, and sending him messages back and forth and stuff like that, just being really included into her love life. So I think that's really weird.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. I find the whole situation kind of weird because it's like you're with this person, then miss this person, then break up. I feel like it's a lot. So instead of just like getting with one, I think she should just like leave them both alone. Like don't get with either one of them because it's useless for you to keep going back and forth,
Right.
Especially if you're finna have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's really gonna be confusing. So.
That, and I think I remember reading something about how Gypsy had told, I think it was Ryan, that you and I have to come to terms with that there's two men in my heart that I love, which is very strange because if it's real love, you ain't gonna love two of them.
Right.
That was the night before Valentine's Day too. Like woke him up in the middle of the night to tell him that she's in love with another man as well.
And like she made Ryan out to be such an awful person in her show and tried to like frame him to be the awful person, but literally everything she did made her look like the bad person. Like when she talked about what her and Ryan did, like their life, all their relationship stuff on camera, and it made him uncomfortable live with letting strangers know that on the internet. And he was just like, I don't want you to do that. She got hysterical, started recording, acting like he was the problem when all he was doing was trying to be reasonable, and started saying that he was like her mom and stuff like this, just awful things, which she paints him to be such a bad person, but it's very clear in the show that she's the bad person.
She also got a temporary restraining order on Ryan, like fresh out of when the divorce started. Why do you think she did that?
I think it was just for show.
Really was.
Yeah, because based off of her show, if she treated him horribly, then she did that just to make her seem like she's not the problem. Because on her show, she made it seem like he was the bad guy, and if after she gets out of the divorce, if she puts a restraining order on him, it makes her seem like the victim.
Right. It just reinforces everything she's already said about him.
She also got matching tattoos with her ex Ken while she was still with Ryan. Do you think y'all would ever like get a matching tattoo with your ex? With
No.
your current partner?
Absolutely not. I would never. Especially if I'm with somebody. No. But I don't ever plan on getting matching tattoos with my ex at all.
Right.
But I most definitely get matching tattoos with my ex while I'm in a full relationship.
And
is
the
definitely
saddest
Wait, not
thing-
even like just a relationship. They were married.
Right.
Mhm.
Like that's like the
It's-
final level at
it's
this
like-
point.
it's
Like
not
y'all
like-
are married and you're still doing this and getting matching tattoos with your ex.
Y'all
Weird.
are not play boyfriend girlfriend, like y'all are literally married and y'all around and you're around here getting matching tattoos.
And also trying to have children.
Mm.
Kind of serious.
So Ryan had posted a video on TikTok about him just bawling his eyes out because he went with Gypsy to get a matching tattoo. But then Gypsy didn't want a matching tattoo with him, but he got a rose and the name Gypsy on it. But she never wanted to get matching tattoos with him and hated that idea, but she immediately, while she's still married, of course, gets one with her ex. And it's a husky tattoo.
So she didn't want the matching tattoos with Ryan.
Right,
She wanted to do it with Ken.
right.
And said like, okay, that's weird. Like, but like, you don't want to get matching tattoos with your husband, but you want to get them with your ex. That's definitely weird. I'm gonna pray for that baby because it's gonna need a lot. It really is gonna need a lot because.
Next question.
Do you think Gypsy was like more involved in the murder than she says she was?
Most definitely.
I definitely feel like it. Like, if she caused you all this trauma and all this, there's no way you're, like, in the bathroom or, like, backseat of the entire thing.
And I mean, they can tell if you're high on painkillers by testing your hair. Because there's this weird thing where if you are very deficient in something or if you are on drugs, they can tell by a strand of your hair and how long you've been on it because of your hair growing. So that's why people's hair goes from typically blonde to brown and when they get older. But
So, she most def was more in the passenger side instead of the backseat of that whole murder.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like maybe she didn't like actually stab her mom like her ex did, but maybe she played a part in like something like ending before.
She played a bigger role,
Most definitely.
a way bigger role than what she tried to say she played.
And I'm not sure if this is like completely true, but I feel like when you're high off of painkillers, you're like everything in your head's going to be messed up. So I feel like she definitely like had to have done something and either doesn't remember it or is just doesn't want it to come out.
Especially if you're high on them for a long time. Like that really messes you up.
Yeah.
But the thing with intent and how people are getting upset over seeing the actual crime scene photos of her mom in that bed, and they see how many stab wounds it is. A lot of times when people are connected to someone or they have a lot of hatred, they of course use a knife. And a knife was used on Gypsy's mom, but she had like 17 stab wounds and a lot of stab wounds. And people were like, there is no way that it was her boyfriend or this person at the time. It had to have been Gypsy, which in my opinion, maybe, but I don't think it could have really, it doesn't have to be her to inflict that much pain onto someone, because people like Jeffrey Dahmer did not know anyone he was torturing and stabbing and killing, and he brutally tortured all those people. And same with millions of other killers.
So with how her murder went, she must have been like a deep sleeper or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if somebody stabbed you at least one time and at least a certain area, you would at least feel the pain before. At least feel the pain before they could.
From what I like heard about is that she did wake up from the first stab, and like Gypsy reports like hearing her scream and call out for her, asking for her help while she was like in the bathroom, like covering her ears, like crying, like she wants to go help, but her body won't let her, is what she said she felt.
I think that's really weird because if she's addicted to the painkillers and she's constantly using them all the time, her body would have been used to moving around if she's going to blame it on the painkillers.
Yeah, her body most definitely would have been used to being on the painkillers because, like Michaela said, she was on them all the time.
And another thing with Michaela, with how many stab wounds, she was saying, well, yes, that other person could have very easily done that, but with how many stab wounds there has to be hatred there. And so she has to have a bigger part than what she says because, yes, her ex-boyfriend or boyfriend or whatever is upset for what Dee Dee did to Gypsy, but there's a level that, like, only Gypsy, like a level of hatred that only Gypsy could have towards her mother. Not someone else, because it wasn't done to them. It was done towards Gypsy.
I feel like after all that Dee Dee put her through, there's no way your only revenge was, I'm gonna plot it out, but I'm not gonna actively participate. Like, I feel like she would have done more than just plot the whole thing out.
Right.
Another thing to mention, Gypsy had put a plush stuffed toy Barney in the bed with Dee Dee after she had been murdered. So she was obviously in the room at some point.
Isn't she told a story that she was in the car when it happened, or she wasn't even in the house when it happened? I remember her telling a story like that, and obviously her stories change. But that clearly changes everything.
So was she in the bathroom or was
she in the car? We don't really know.
It's getting mixed up.
And then that's where it can also go back to how she's scamming people and lying about everything, because if your stories don't line up, then obviously you don't remember what lie you've told before, so everything's just could be a lie. Weird.
Do you think she is capable of murder?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I feel like anyone is capable of murder.
Anybody is. Especially if you took the time to fully plot the entire thing out from beginning to end, you're most definitely capable of doing it yourself.
Yeah, at that point, if you really have fully thought it out and have everything planned, then obviously you're capable of doing it because you know what you're capable of doing, of what you're capable of not doing and being able to do.
I feel like she had her ex-boyfriend or whatever at the time do it to make it less on her end, cause she could have the way she plotted that whole thing out, she could have fully did it by herself. But I feel like she had him do it so that it was less on her end and more on his end.
She did search up before, while planning this murder, how much trouble one could get in for being, associated with it and, being the mastermind behind it, how much trouble she could get in herself. And then, when they, got arrested, she would, pin everything on Nick. She accepted that she had planned him and told him to do it, but she added things being he tried to assault me afterwards, and I told him not to do certain things that he did do, and she just kind of kept pushing the blame onto Nick.
So yeah, goes with what I said. She could have fully did it, but she didn't, so that it'll be less on her and more on him.
I think she also tried to blame most of it on him to begin with, so she could take that plea deal of only 10 years, make it seem like, oh, she's this huge victim, when I'm pretty sure she was also playing into the hand of the donations and stuff like that, because not only was her mom profiting off of this stuff, Dee Dee was, with gifts and stuff like that. Even though, yes, terrible things happen to her during all of that, but there is some conspiracy or theories out there of Dee Dee knew the whole time, not Dee Dee, Gypsy knew the whole time and was in on it.
going back to the if she's capable of murder, she like admitted to trying to shoot her at one point, thinking she had a real gun, but it was just a BB gun, and she like shot multiple shots. I've heard 10 to 12 shots at her. If you aren't capable of murder, you wouldn't have been able to pull the trigger in the first place, even in a moment of heat.
Right. Like, that was a clear, she's attempted to try and kill her before, even though it was a false gun.
Yes.
That's clear intent. And then even after actually murdering her mom, that's first-degree murder charge. That's full intent, everything with the research and everything.
Yeah.
With what Michaela just said, how she said, and how Gypsy Rose said she didn't know it was a BB gun, and she still pulled the gun on her mom either way. So she was very capable of doing that and was ready to pull the trigger on her mom, and then finding out later it was a BB gun. So I think very well she's capable of murder.
Very well capable. And then it's the fact that her dealing with somebody or messing with somebody made it so much more easier and better, basically, for her to do the entire thing. Because if she did it by herself, obviously she would have got way more time, because isn't like if you plan out the murder and all this other stuff, isn't it like premeditated?
Mm-hmm.
So you get like life or something like that automatically.
Yeah.
So I feel like she would have got way longer time if she did it by herself, and she knew that. So she felt like, okay, me having him would make it so much easier. I plot it and he do it, and I just push everything on him.
And a lot of cases go that way, too.
Not to mention, before Dee Dee was killed, she was on the decline of her health. She had medical problems herself, like gout, and like she was turning into the patient, not Gypsy. Gypsy was taking care of her mom at that point. She couldn't move around very well. So Gypsy, even while high on painkillers and like disabled at the time, if she like some of these surgeries affected her, she was still strong enough to overtake Dee Dee, especially in her sleep, because
Right.
she couldn't move very well.
I think it wasn't. I think the main thing that Gypsy, and this is just my thoughts and this is my theory, that really pushed her to the edge was really finding out all this, the lies, maybe, the lies and everything about her age and what really happened to her, and just figuring out everything. That's what mainly pushed her over the edge. Not a certain situation made her get pushed over the edge. I think everything collectively, and that's what made her want to do all this for revenge, because she took so much away from her.
Yeah, she basically took like her whole childhood, because like at the age of 8 she gave her a feeding tube, and with her not even needing it. So she took away her whole childhood and lied about her age and disabled her from really having friends or really talking to anybody. So it all unraveling.
And as like, maybe as like when she was a little kid, like your mom telling you have all these things wrong with you, and like you have to go to doctors for so many tests. I feel like that could be like very draining on her, and especially on like a child's body, because if it's not something that's needed, then there's no point in having it, and it's going to drain the body. And I feel like that also could be another part of like her revenge.
So what do y'all know about this lawsuit that Gypsy is currently caught up in and started?
So I know why it was dropped, like the case was dropped, which is, I feel like that's super unnecessary, because if she's going to sue for like defamation or something like that, loss of character, they're going to have to find out the truth. And when the truth is found out, Gypsy also might go to prison because of the truth. So I feel like that was a really dumb move on her part, but for her sake, even though she didn't want it to end this way, it got dropped, because she just didn't even do it in the states that either person lived in. She did it in a completely different state that wasn't even halfway between her and this other person, Gypsy, and the person talking about it. And so it was dropped, and the judge was kind of fed up because I think he knows Gypsy's past, stuff like that.
She is currently under arrest for breaking parole, is she not?
Wouldn't that consider breaking parole, going to a different state?
I'm not sure. I think you're allowed to travel.
But she moved.
But on some paroles, you're not allowed to leave the state.
So when she divorced Ryan, the way her parole was set up is you can live with someone you're married to or your family. So she lived with Ryan. When they got divorced, she moved in with her stepmom in Louisiana. Fancy lives in Kentucky, and the court case was held in Missouri. But she broke her parole by talking to the other inmates that she was in with.
Oh.
So, and then there's like a phone call recorded that they deny is Gypsy, but if you listen to it, it's obviously her voice, where the other inmate is saying that like there are many apps out there that people use to fake messages and set up people, and they could just claim it was that if their messages ever got leaked. So with Gypsy going back to jail, being pregnant, and having all of this love life issues, it's not looking well for her. And I think all of her previous instances are coming back and dragging her back down. All the truth is being spilled.
Yep. All the lies are dissipating, the truth's coming out, and it's just making her look like the worst person, everything she does.
I honestly feel like everything she's doing with the scamming and just lying is all what her mom did in just different fonts. So it's like she's her mother's child, but isn't, I don't even want to say isn't as bad, because we don't even know how far she will take this entire thing. So I just feel like she's becoming her mother.
Yeah, very much. I feel like definitely, because in a way her mom was making Gypsy look like a victim, and now Gypsy's still kind of making herself look like a victim, and is having all these other lies and all these scams that she's involving other people with, and it's just all gonna get caught up in the end, and she's just gonna have to deal with the consequences.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
All roses have thorns.
This has been the Rookie Mind Podcast. Let us know what you guys think in the comments.
Bye! Mwah!